Chazon Ish is telling us that if a person wants to perfect their character traits, they have to wage war on each and every one of these character trait flaws and understand that there's a specific cure for the tendencies towards all types of lustful desires. If you have all types of lust in your head, you're constantly thinking about immorality, you're constantly thinking about promiscuity, you're constantly thinking about things that are simply not good. Not even from just a religious perspective, but even from a simply a life perspective. People that are the most promiscuous end up having the most horrible lives of all. They age the quickest. They end up being the loneliest, most prone to drug abuse and other types of abuses, emotional disasters. Yeah, but he gets a new girl every day, and guess what? He'll probably commit suicide by the time he's 30 or 40. And he'll probably end up being, unmarried when he's 50 years old still. All those girls that he has, they're not to his benefits. They're to his detriment. Same thing with the girls. The girls that were running around and pretty much selling themselves to different rich people. Guess what? Those girls end up becoming the most miserable people in the world. Eventually, they wake up one day, they're not as beautiful. They're not as desired. And even if they are desired and they are beautiful, they're more lonely than ever. Why? Because they don't have a baby. Or like some people unfortunately do, where, like this woman just literally sent me the other day. I was beautiful, I was young, everything was great, I did whatever I wanted, but then I realized that it's not really that good, so I started changing myself. But the change took time. And I was already approaching 40 years old. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't find somebody that I could marry, even though I was more religious. I was doing, better things. And I decided, you know what? Let me just be with this guy that I met. And why not? He's a decent person. And guess what? I'm 4 months pregnant, or 3 months pregnant, and the guy has already left. He's not interested in me. I'm not interested in him. And I have no idea what to do with this thing that's in my body. I made a mistake. Now, why did she make this mistake? Because again, she wasn't following Hashem's advice. And do you know how many women make this mistake? Where they get pregnant? Why? Because of, this is the outcome. Yeah, but I changed. Yes, you changed, but not really. Or too late. Or there's consequences despite the change. And many times these people that are the most promiscuous, that look like they're winning, they end up being the biggest losers in society. One of the prime examples is the real lives of people in Hollywood and celebrity and success. In fact, one of the things that I heard a very wise person say recently, that's not a Jew, I don't think he's a Jew, but he's a very, very smart guy. He actually said that he did I guess there was a private study, that the more successful people became, the more miserable they became. In fact, money was not only the answer to all people's problems or the key to happiness, but quite the contrary. He actually saw that he did a study where there was they checked the level of happiness of people that got into a traumatizing accident and became paraplegic versus people that won the lotto. He said during the first year, of course, the people that got into an accident, their happiness went drastically lower, while the people that won the lotto, their happiness skyrocketed. But after 12 months, he says it's unbelievable. The statistics are that they both go back to where they were before the event. Meaning, the guy that won the lotto, he may have $500 million in his account, but if he was a miserable guy before he won the lotto, he's back to misery after the lotto, just a year later. The guy that was a paraplegic, if he was a happy guy before the accident, guess what? He finds a way to get back to happiness a year later. So we see from here that success monetarily is not going to bring you happiness. And in fact, most people, their happiness deteriorates over time as a result of the success. So if a person has these desires and they're constantly moving due to these desires, they have to know that there is a cure for it. The cure is to strengthen your spiritual self. Strengthen that intellectual soul and realize that although there may be some physical relief, physical excitement for a moment, that is going to be short-lived in comparison to the damage you're causing yourself. And I'm not just referring to the damage you'll get in Gehenom and punishment and how they're going to put, do surgeries on your sex organs, surgeries unlike anything else in this world and without anesthesia. I'm not even referring to that. I'm simply talking about life here. Your life here is going to be miserable because the more promiscuous you are, even if the promiscuity is just with yourself, the more you're ruining your life. Because you're going to be separated more and more from normalcy, more and more from physical health, more and more separation from spiritual health. You're going to start desiring things that are more and more taboo, more strange, more provocative, more abnormal, and simply put yourself in a class of your own and be like one of these zombies that walks into the ice cream store, but nobody's even sure if you're human or a demon. And you can't even tell that there's anything wrong with you. This, unfortunately, has become the norm of society in many places. And the reality is that it all starts from there. Simply allowing the perversion of the mind to lose all metrics. There is a solution for that. Realize that you are not brought into the world to be a horse. And in fact, even the horse is not as promiscuous as people. There has to be meaning for every action.